If you're contemplating getting married, but you have a lot of assets, or perhaps you're a higher wage earner, you may want to consider doing a prenuptial agreement. In this video, we're going to discuss what a prenuptial agreement is and some of the things that it entails. A prenuptial agreement, also known as a premarital settlement agreement, is essentially a contract between two people with respect to what will apply in the event that they were to divorce. Now, of course, no one goes and gets married thinking they're going to divorce, but it's very important to note that unfortunately, upwards of 50% of marriages end up in divorce. And this is why a premarital settlement agreement or a prenuptial agreement is becoming more and more popular in modern day. The two main things that are typically incorporated into a prenuptial agreement are how assets are going to be divided at the time of divorce, and also what kind of spousal support, if any, someone is going to pay in the event that these folks divorce. Now, with respect to assets, in another video, we discussed the concept of community property. Most of the time when someone does a prenuptial agreement, they dispose of community property altogether. What does that mean? They typically will include in a prenuptial agreement that whatever assets are acquired by one person in their name remains their separate property asset. Or perhaps you're coming into the marriage with a number of assets. Maybe you have a house, a boat, vacation home, and whatnot, and you don't want to lose these assets when you divorce. So in the prenuptial agreement, people will typically include that these assets, irrespective of what happens during the marriage, remains their separate property asset, and the other spouse does not ever acquire an interest in those assets. With respect to spousal support, if you have a high wage earner and they're scared of their exposure to pay a high amount of spousal support in the event that they were divorced, typically they'll outline in a prenuptial agreement what they will pay with respect to spousal support or how much, or perhaps put a cap saying, hey, if we're married for 5 years, I'll pay X amount. If we're married for 10 years, I'll pay X amount. By doing this and having this legally binding contract, the typical California family law rules or laws do not apply or will not apply if the prenuptial agreement provides for some other type of disposition with these assets or with respect to spousal support. However, very, very, very important to remember, a prenuptial agreement is very, very technical and has a lot of very specific requirements that must be met for this prenuptial agreement to be upheld at the time of divorce. So never, and I advise this to everyone, never do a prenuptial agreement on your own. You gotta make sure you hire an attorney to draft this for you, because it's going to make sure that it's done correctly, and more importantly, that your rights are protected at the time that you divorce. If you found this video helpful and useful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and watch our next video here.